Hello friends and neighbors, and welcome to your Monday music lesson. I'm Mike Mitchell from Floyd Music School, but here at Floyd Music School, everybody calls me Mr. Mike. This is lesson number 2 in the series, and I'm so glad that you're joining me with your fiddles and the best of your intentions and a whole lot of patience and willingness to pick it up every day and saw upon it for days, weeks, months, and years, and slowly become a good violin or fiddle player. Yeah, because it takes that long. So in our last lesson, we talked about the bow grip, right? The two variations of the bow grip that I use and teach here at Floyd Music School. Now we better talk about putting it on the string. But first I want to introduce you to this. This is my one of my Arthur Conner fiddles. This, and Arthur Conner is the esteemed and kind of a famous fiddle maker from Floyd County, from Copper Hill. He's the reason I came here back in 2000, as I met him, and I just fell for the whole thing. Hook, line, and sinker. Took a deep dive, moved here in 2000 and been going strong ever since. This is one that he made right around maybe the time I was in high school, in the 1980s. It's a beautiful, beautiful, iconic Arthur Conner ram's head fiddle. You'll notice this empty hole right here. This was made to be a 5-string. It's a smaller scale, and I didn't do the work, but someone had the good sense to reduce it down to a 4-string to accommodate the small scale. This one came to me on permanent loan from my good friend Roger Vest over in Copper Hill, and Roger and I sat with the old man and apprenticed in his shop for a couple of years, and those were great times, very fond memories when he taught me how to do this carving. So yeah, this is Floyd County maple on the neck and on the sides of this. The top of this is from Pocahontas County in West Virginia. It's a red spruce from the Cheat Mountain. So, moving right along. Whether you have an Arthur Conner fiddle or a Stanley Lorton, he was another fiddle maker in Floyd, or your great whoever's fiddle, or Uncle Bob's fiddle, or you just got your fiddle out of a box from Amazon. No matter where yours comes from, we better learn to push and pull the bow across it and make a joyful noise, right? Let's do that. Whichever bow grip you have found to be the most comfortable for you, go ahead and remind yourself of that. Have your bow, and then just set it down in your right leg and don't worry about it for a moment. I'm going to talk about how to hold your fiddle, and I will begin by acknowledging that yes, you see all kinds of different fiddle holds. You see fiddles being held down here and played down here. You see them being held like this and being played. You see them being held like this and being played, like this and being played. Sometimes you see people up here playing them. I know a fella who I meet once a year at the IBMA convention. And he holds his like this, like a cello, and plays amazing bluegrass fiddle, just like this. I'm not going to teach you how to do that. I'm going to teach you the way that my teacher taught me and the way that her teacher taught her, and so on. And it's a very standard way of holding the violin. I recommend highly the use of a shoulder rest, and that'll be a whole lesson unto itself, how to choose a shoulder rest, how to size one, and how to adjust it. But I recommend the use of a shoulder rest for sure. And then I'd recommend you consider your shoulder. You see what I'm doing? It's kind of, it's able to move around, isn't it? But is my head? No. My shoulder is free. And you need to have a free shoulder because you're going to need to move this thing this way and that to accommodate the notes you're playing. Now, you'll also notice that my chin is not on the chin rest. I don't know why it's called a chin rest. And, Mr. Mike Geek Out moment. The chin rest was invented and brought to market by a fellow named Ottokar Sevcik, who's noted for the chin rest and an incredibly comprehensive and often grueling violin method. Anyone who really wants to go down the rabbit hole in violin, the Sevcik books are still in publication. They're still some of the most comprehensive technique books that have ever been written on the subject. So Ottokar Sevcik, really, his chin rest has helped so many millions of players. And I don't know why it's called a chin rest, again, because I don't put my chin on it. I put it under my jawbone. So you see that my jaw, the mandible, right, sort of hooks over the edge of this. Goes underneath. And then my shoulder comes up as needed. And that works as a kind of a pincher movement, right? And secures the thing. Now, let's take our bows. Now that we have a good violin hold. And also, you notice I'm not doing this. I don't want to. It hurts. If I keep doing this, I'm going to end up with pain in my back shoulder blade. I don't want to do it. And, honestly, I want to listen to music. I want to listen to myself play music. I don't want to watch myself play music. Now, friends, I understand we're new at this and we need to watch what we're doing. And of course, you need to watch what you're doing. You're going to need to look down here and make sure your bow's on the string in question. Absolutely. You don't want to go feeling your way around. But I don't want you to adopt this uncomfortable, kind of muscle spasming thing just to be able to look here. And I don't want you to pull your fiddle here so that you can look here. Because if your fiddle is here and you're looking down, then you don't have control. See this? It's not working. And that's going to seriously, seriously hamper your efforts later on. So get it here and then just incline a little bit to make sure that you're on the D string. Aha! There you go. We're going to pull the bow. We're going to pull it from the elbow, never from the shoulder. Repeat that with me. Ready? From the elbow, never from the shoulder. Very important. Never from the shoulder. If you are unable at the beginning to control that, tie it off. Have someone in your family come and hold and immobilize your upper arm. Do whatever's necessary. Stand up against a tree trunk or a door frame, but immobilize this. Don't bow from your... Don't do it, my friends, don't. You want to bow from the elbow. Down to the D string. I'm just inclining my eyes a little to the left just to make sure I'm on the D. And I'm pulling. 1, 2, ready, and D string, ready, up. D string, ready, down. D string, ready, up. D string, ready, down. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. Guys, did you notice that I was bowing from my elbow, not from my shoulder? And did you notice that my wrist is flexible? And it kind of has to be. If I'm going to track my bow in a straight line, and yeah, I'm turning my head to make sure. My wrist has got to flex up here, or else my bow would be kind of catty cornered, be whomper jawed over here, and we don't want it whomper jawed. So I have to, again, it starts with my wrist extended down here. I'm pushing up, flexing it. That keeps it straight. Here's another thing you can think about. You can think about the line of the edge of the fingerboard and the line of the bridge, right? Two parallel lines, if you will, right? Now, if your bow stick makes a third parallel line, then you're in business. And if you're going to if that parallel line is going to hold throughout the stroke, all the way from one end of the bow to the next, to the other end, if it's going to keep that line, I kind of line mine up visually with the end of the fingerboard. Then the wrist is going to have to flex and extend. Now, the very small percentage of you that get this right away, I'm very happy for you. The rest of us, regular humans, are going to be bouncing and chattering and scratching and squealing and groaning, because as we think, as we observe and we think about all this stuff, first of all, we're still thinking about this bow grip. Secondly, we're thinking about the jawbone and the collarbone sort of acting as holders for the instrument. We're thinking, we've noticed that Mr. Mike doesn't use his left hand to hold it up, and that's very significant. And now we're thinking about not bowing from the shoulder, whether we've had to immobilize our upper arm or have someone do it for us, or we are really just thinking about it. Now we have to think about the wrist. Mike, this is way too much to think about, dude. What's going on here? Well, all that I can tell you is keep doing it every day for a little while, and in about 90 days, you won't be thinking about it anymore, I promise. I have 17 years of experience teaching people to do this full-time, 40 hours a week. It takes about 90 days, and then it becomes ingrained. So have patience and perseverance. Now, when you do start thinking about it, and you're like, oh, parallel lines. Yeah, that's right. Mike was talking about parallel lines. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to start slowing down. And as soon as that bow starts slowing down, that's what happens. Or, say, possibly someone's come in the room and you're feeling a little nervous, you're feeling on the spot, or someone's asking you to do it, or you've heard yourself sound pretty good and you've run into the kitchen and you're like, hey family, check this out, and then you get hit with a little case of nerves. And as soon as that happens and you stop breathing regularly, then the elasticity of the bow hair comes into play. And these things start happening. The chattering sounds. So if we're thinking too much, we get the groaning. Or the scratching. Or if we get a little nervous, then it's the chattering. Every time that happens, do two things quickly. Check the bow grip. Odds are that possibly your hand is rotated back to where it wants to be, where it's normally used to grabbing and picking something up. And then reset your bow grip. The next thing is breathe. Make sure you got a little oxygen coming in. Always important. Good for brain function. And the third thing is a little antithetical, but increase your stroke. So I'm thinking too much, groaning, pull out of that. Or push out of that. Just dig in and do it. Now you might also hear squealing and squeaking. When that happens, it means that you've started bowing from your shoulder again, and the bow is making this kind of a mark. And it might even be hitting the bridge or going behind the bridge. And that's because we're doing this again. Okay? So when that happens, you know why. Make sure that you start immobilizing the shoulder again and going from the elbow and flexing and extending the wrist to keep a straight bow stroke. Let's do 4 more Ds. 1, 2, you know what to do, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Outstanding, my friends. Let's just drop it and do A's. Ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to D, lifting the elbow a little. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fantastic. So you've got A and you've got D. And you need to take as long as it takes. I recommend keeping the instrument out in a prominent place. I recommend not leaving it on a couch or a chair because they do get sat on sometimes. But in a prominent place on your desk, on a counter, leaving it out, picking it up and doing that for just a few minutes, 5-10 minutes while you're waiting on something to boil, in between whatever. And you remember I mentioned just really briefly moving the elbow. Well, we're going to talk more about moving the elbow. The second part of this lesson is thinking of our bow as sort of laid out on a protractor with 4 distinct angles. Now, very common, part of the reason I have a job is when you look at the fingerboard and the bridge, you see that they're contoured. There's a radius there, right? And immediately our assumption, the beginner player's assumption, is that the bow stroke must follow that contour, must follow that radius, right? Like da 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 da. And that's also why I have a job, because that assumption is completely false. It's wrong. And what you're going to end up is not being able to stay on one string at a time. You're like, oh yeah, great. Mr. Mike's got me on the D string. Wonderful. Why don't I hear it anymore? What's going on? Right? Oh, let me get back to there. I can't get back. Oh, now let me get. Oh, now I've overcorrected. And you're struggling with the radius of the fingerboard and the bridge. Completely normal. Congratulations. You're a totally normal human being. And my job is to get you to start thinking about the radius exists so that we can stay on one string at a time. Let's take the D string, the one we started on. If my bow stick stays on a completely true angle against like the flat plane, say the string is 180 degrees, it's flat, and then my bow stick has got to be on an angle against that, right? I don't know what angle that would be, 10 or 15 degrees or something. Now there's another angle. Aha! For the A string. another angle for the E. Starting to come a pretty sharp angle. You'll know when you've gone too far because it'll hit the side. It'll hit the C bout and stop making sounds. And then almost completely opposite to the E string angle is the G. Now that's one way of, that's one point of view on how the bow approaches each string. Another point of view can be the elbow. You remember we bow from the elbow, don't we? So my elbow can act as a, it can kind of telegraph what string I'm on. So with the little kids who come to me for lessons here at Floyd Music School, I tell them to imagine that their elbow is like a laser pointer. When they're on the G string, the laser pointer is pointing right to the, like, midway on the wall. And then when we're playing on the D string, the laser pointer is just a couple feet lower. And then the laser pointer is almost at the floor, or maybe where the wall meets the floor. And then when we're on the E string, the laser points right down to the floor right beside us. So your elbow can kind of be a telegraph. Keep these things in mind. And I know, guys, I know that's it's like 5 things now. My bow grip, the flat of my thumb, bowing from the elbow, flexing and extending my wrist for a straight bow stroke, keeping my bow on a parallel line with the edge of the fingerboard. Now I've got to think about laser pointers or protractors or the angle. Well, yeah. And again, in about 90 days, you won't have to think. It'll become second nature, I promise. But 90 days of picking it up regularly. That's the key. So let's start on the D and do the A and then the E, and then we'll kick our laser pointer way up and do the G string. We're going to do 4 strokes for each string, and I'll count to 4 for each stroke. D string, 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, E string, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. Stop, don't move. All the way up. G string, ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. Outstanding. Very nice. I'm glad we get to do this together. Remember, if you're chattering, it's nervousness and taking oxygen. If you're groaning and scratching, you're thinking too much and probably trying to employ your eyes, which is also stressing out your muscles in your shoulder blade, and the thinking too much is slowing the bow stroke. If you're squeaking and squealing, then you're probably not coming from the elbow, you're coming from the shoulder, and you're losing your parallel line with the bow against the string. These are all super common. If you're one of the very small percentage that isn't experiencing any of this, congratulations, I'm very happy for you. It'll get difficult for you later on in other ways. If you're in the majority who are experiencing all 3 of these things, just have faith, have perseverance, put it down when it gets a little frustrating. It's very important. Go back to doing the normal things you do, pick it back up again and again, and like I keep saying, in about 90 days, it will start to become second nature for you. Enjoy it.